come to standing, and today will be a complete practice, a variation on Bhuta Shuddhi, which is working through all the energy centres of the body, with very much an Eastern flavour, of course. So just lifting and rolling your shoulders, setting them back down. I'm raising my right hand, but any hand, lifting up, stretching up, and breathing out, lowering that hand back down alongside you. And then breathing in, raise the other hand. The palm points inwards, stretching up, press your feet down, and then breathing out, lower your hand back down alongside you. Turn your head from one side to the centre, and then turn it to the other side, and bring the head back to the centre. And again, once more, turning your head to one side, bring it back to the centre, to the other side, and coming back to the centre. Raise your right arm again, turning the palm inwards. Breathing out, turn your head away from your right arm to the left. Breathe in, bring your head back to the centre. And breathe out, lower your right arm down alongside you. Breathing in, raise the left arm. Breathing out, turn your head away from your left arm. Breathe in, bring the head back to the centre. And breathing out, lower your arm back down alongside you. Press your feet into the ground. Focus on your heels and just lift your toes. And then place your toes back down along the ground, one at a time if you are able to. But just putting your toes purposefully on the ground just realigns you to your posture. Make sure that your feet are pressing in, your big toe, your bounce evenly between your toes, pressing the centre of the heels down. Lift and roll your shoulders and turn your head from side to side. Come back to the centre and with your mouth closed, just very gently lift the corners of the mouth into a half or semi-smile. And as you do this, just as you're breathing, notice that the air perhaps enters the throat differently and is able to access almost the back of the throat going up into the head. Breathing in, raise your arms, just lock your thumbs and just sway gently from side to side. You'll feel this as a lateral stretch, opening the intercostal muscles, but also having got into this standing position, you'll feel the pull all the way along the front of your body as you engage your abdominal area. Bring your hands to the centre and just test your balance by lifting your heels. And then very gently lower your heels, lower your arms, lift and roll your shoulders, and place your hands on your waist as you bend your knees as if you were sitting into a chair. Once you've got your seat positioned, have the back of your neck long. You might be looking on the floor, and there is an option to come into full chair, which is lifting your arms up alongside your ears. I found that quite strong on my lower abdominal muscles and even my back, so you can modify by bringing your hands to your waist and then breathing in, stand up. Lift and roll your shoulders. Raising your arms out to the side, we're going to come to focus on the upper back area as you come to hug yourself. Note which arm's on the top. Just slightly come forward and rock from side to side. You're opening up your upper thoracic area between the shoulder blades. And then breathing in, standing back up again, opening your arms out to the side. And then come to hug yourself again. If you can remember to have the other arm on top, come forward and just again hug from side to side. Inhaling, raising your arms out and then just lowering them back down alongside you again. Bring one hand on top of the other as if you're holding an imaginary ball. And then leading with the top elbow, turn to one side. When you get this, switch the hands over. You're still holding your ball and leading with your top elbow. Come to the other side. Switch your ball. If you feel that you would like to step out and alter your pose, then please do. And you can even just balance your weight from one foot to the other as you're switching in. Really, this is a Tai Chi movement. As you start to balance your weight, balancing your hips, but you're also beginning to balance your mind, your brain, as the hemispheres are just getting focus from one foot to the other foot. And then come back to the center, and then just release your hands, lift and roll your shoulders. And we're going to come to start this practice by coming onto our backs and hugging both knees into the chest. And when the knees are hugged into the chest, just gently rock from side to side. And then hold your left knee into your chest and your right leg extends out along the mat. Just hold the left knee into the chest, and while you're holding it, make little circles with your left knee moving in one direction. Your circles can be small or they can be wider, depending on how you're feeling this morning. And then gently reverse your circle going in the other direction. Come back to the center. Drop your hands underneath your left thigh. You might like to clasp them as you raise your left leg to the ceiling and extend your left heel. And point and flex your left foot a couple of times as we begin to wake up the foot and our general circulation. And then begin to circle your ankle, if you haven't done so already, in one direction, and circle your ankle in the other direction. And then walk your hands up the back of your left leg. And you can stay when your hands reach a comfortable point. If you want to carry on, you can engage your lower abdomen towards your spine and lift your head up slightly towards your outstretched leg. If you want support under your head, you can hold the back of your head and neck with your right arm. And then wherever you are, bring your head back down to the earth, bend, your left knee in to hug it into your chest. And then roll your entire body, still hugging the left knee in, over to the right. Your left hip will lift up. Your right hand might stay on the left thigh. And your left hand can either open out to the left like a book. That's quite a strong stretch. You can bend your left elbow and have the back of your left hand above you. Or you can place your left hand on your waist, your option. And you can either look up to the ceiling or turn your head to the left, looking either along the floor or up to the ceiling. This is a lying twist. While you're here, just remember to extend your right heel so that you're stretching the body. You're almost arching into the lower back, giving the body a stretch, but not too much. And take another in and an out breath here. Before gently rolling back to center. Hug your left knee into the chest once more. And then place your left foot on the floor. And stretch your left leg out along the floor. And then bend your right knee into the chest. You might feel that you want to readjust your spine, in which case place your right foot on the floor, lifting to adjust yourself, and then hug your right knee into the chest. This is a variation of Apanasana, knee to chest pose, and it's very releasing for the foundational energy at the lower spine, which controls a lot of things, but all are elimination aspects which can get disturbed when we're stressed. So hugging the right knee into the chest, and still holding the right knee into the chest, very gently circle the right knee in one direction. And then very gently circle the right knee in the other direction. Moving the top of the leg in the hip socket and giving flexibility within the hip. And then come to the center. And drop your hands to under your right thigh, clasping them, and extend your right leg and right heel up towards the ceiling. Just check that your chin is not sticking up, that the back of the neck is long. Extend your right heel and point your right toes a few times as we begin to warm up the circulation on the right side. And then when you're ready, begin to circle the right ankle in one direction. And then circle the ankle in the other direction. And then gently walk your hands up the back of your right leg, bringing your right leg towards you. And you have an option to stay where you feel comfortable. You can lift your head up towards your right leg. And if this feels tight on your neck, you can always take support with one hand, holding the back of your head and neck. And then very gently release and relax your head back down to the earth. Bend your right knee in towards the chest again. And this time, very gently roll your entire body over to the left, hugging your right knee in still. And your left hand can rest somewhere along the right outer thigh. And your right hand can either open out like a book, palms up, very strong under the arms. That might be too strong. You can bend your right elbow and have the back of your right hand above your head. That's less strong. You might feel a more satisfying stretch here. Or you could equally have your right hand on your right waist, opening out. Either way, you're opening up under the right arm and you're connecting into your lymph system at the upper part of the body. Your head can look up, or it can turn gently to the right to wherever feels comfortable for you. Your gaze either looking up, eyes open or closed, or looking along the mat. This revolved lying supine twist is, like any rotation, very good to realign the spine because it stretches the muscles evenly either side of the spine. And you're giving space on the right side this time of your lungs. And then very gently roll onto your back again. You might like to place your right foot on the ground to support you to readjust your position. And then hug one knee into the chest and the other knee, so both knees are hugging into the chest. And just rock from side to side, massaging your lower back on either side, or the top of your bottom. And this time hug your both knees into the chest, and then stretch both feet up to the ceiling and both arms up and perhaps behind you, stretching out, extending your heels. And breathing out, hug your knees into your chest. And once more, stretch your soles of your feet up to the ceiling, extend your heels and your arms go behind you, stretching out and breathing to hug your knees back into your chest again. And then slide your hands down the tops of your shins to open your knees into, holding above your ankles, into a form of Apanasana. So it's an open angle, it's a butterfly pose, but lying on your back, or cobbler's pose. Your big toes aren't necessarily touching, but they're aiming towards each other. And here you'll find or feel the inside of your hips, your groin opening, which connects into the lymph system on the lower part of the body. This is very good for pelvic flow. It's not something, it's something that you'll find in all women's health programs, or a variation of this. And even though we're not necessarily concerned with that reproductive aspect of us at this point, the blood flow, the energetic blood to the energies, the energetic flow is still there and is very helpful for promoting harmony, which is considered really more at the second chakra level here. Just breathing in and out. And the second chakra connects to fluidity in our lives, the element of water, how our life flows. It can often be blocked up as per the first chakra. And then very gently, if you're able to, hold your big toes and come into stretching your legs out in a V. If that's too much, then hold on to your shins. Just gently sway from side to side. Although it doesn't look like it, this is an upside down forward bend, if you can think of it in those terms. And so it becomes quite calming really for the nervous system. And with our legs up, it becomes rebalancing for our hormonal system as well. And then release that grip, hug your knees into your chest. Once more, gently rock from side to side. And place your feet one at a time onto the ground. Your knees are bent. Your feet are on the ground, hip width apart. And raise your arms above you, holding your elbows. Your elbows might touch the ground behind you. They might not be reaching the ground. With your elbows statically held above you, doesn't matter which elbow you hold, just gently rock both knees from side to side. Your hips will lift off the ground to help you rock both knees in the same direction, like a windscreen wiper shield from side to side. So this movement again is giving flexibility in relation to the hips and the torso. The legs relate to the torso, and you'll find this in the somatic movement series. Just about every somatic movement touches back on this movement, and it's very anti-aging. As our hips, even with a lot of walking, we don't move them fully through their full movement, and little contractions can happen somewhere along the line, and those contractions can shorten the muscle fractionally and then pull you forward. So this goes quite a long way to reversing that pulling forward movement. And then very gently bring your knees to the centre. Lower your elbows, hug the knees into the chest, rock from side to side, and then very gently either rock and roll over to the right or rock up, but either way we're going to come to a seated position. Sitting in, to start with, an easy pose. And resting your hands on the knees, sitting upwards, breathing out, rounding, the chin comes to the chest, you're rounding your back, breathing in, sitting up, and breathing out, rounding, chin comes to the chest, breathing in, sitting up, and breathing out, rounding, chin comes to the chest. And one more time, sitting up, and breathing out, rounding, chin comes to the chest. Come to sit upright. Slide your left hand away from you along the mat to the left, and raise your right hand up. Your chin tucks in to keep a length in your back of your neck, side stretch. Tummy in as you press your left hand and slide it back towards your left hip. And then your right hand goes down, sliding out away from you as you lift your left hand up. Chin in, your underarm is parallel facing your ear. And then sliding your hand, right hand back towards your hip as you lower your left hand. Just come to have your hands resting on the ground and stretch your feet out in front of you. Just bounce your legs, and then using your hands to either rub or pat your legs, just to almost like a form of dry skin brushing, just boosting the circulation in your legs. And have your legs out now in a V, and just slide your hands down your shins. into a forward restful pose. No effort. If you want to decrease the effort and just make it very relaxing, you can turn the palms upwards so that the backs of the hands rest on the ground. Just have a sense of lengthening along your spine and then just rounding. If you want to hold on to your shins for support, then that's fine too. A forward bend is always very calming for the nervous system. And it begins to encourage the body to slow the breath, we've been doing that since we started by coordinating our movement with the breath. But particularly the chin is into the chest, you're activating your Jalandhara band at the chin, so you're activating the vagus nerve, implicated in anti-inflammation, and it's activated and calming the nervous system down. Everything starts to relax. And then very gently slide your hands up, bring your knees together, hold under your legs, and just lift your feet off the ground. It will engage your core to be able to do that. So it's a half boat pose. You can go on to do the full boat pose, just warning that it's very heavy duty on your back if your abs aren't great. Mine aren't. I'm just half lifting my feet up and supporting under my legs. That's the full one. And then just come to bring your feet to the ground. Just bend forward for a moment, resting your hands on your shins. And then we're going to come onto our hands and knees in tabletop. Your knees are hip width apart, your hands are shoulder height apart. And breathing in, dipping your back, either looking up or along the mat, depending where your neck is today, and breathing out, rounding chin to chest. There's the classic cat-cows. We'll repeat this a couple of times. Dipping the back, and then rounding back chin to chest. Dipping the back, and then rounding chin to chest. Come to neutral and extend your right foot away from you. Your right heel is up to the ceiling and you're tucking your right toes underneath. And then turn to look over your left shoulder at your right foot. Come back to the center with your head. Bend your right knee. And this time slide your left foot back. Left toes tucked under. You're extending your left leg. Left heel is up to the ceiling. And turn to look over your right shoulder. Take an in and an out breath. Come back to the center with your head. Come back to tabletop, bending your left knee and bringing it back to your right. And then keeping your bottom high, walk your hands forward into puppy pose. Your head or forehead can rest on the ground. Your elbows can be off the ground or resting on it. You're stretching out your thoracic area. Tummy comes in even in here, just engaging your core. Your bottom is up to the ceiling. You're stretching your shoulders. And then come back to tabletop. Tuck your toes and come into downward dog. Adjusting your feet, Your hands too if you want to, but making any adjustments. Your heels don't have to touch the ground. The wider you have your feet and the more you bend your knees, the softer the action will be on your lower back. And then just bottom high to extend and lengthen your back. And then walk the dog by extending one heel and bending the other knee. And then reverse by bending the other knee and extending the opposite heel. Stretching out your calves. And just gently swaying from side to side. Your thumb and second finger should be pressing down into the ground, and that will then lead for the rest of the fingers and the knuckles to press into the ground. And your elbows should be facing inwards to secure your shoulders and just make sure that you're getting the right support. You're taking a lot of weight. The aim, if you bend your knees and raise your bottom, is to take the weight a little bit out of your hands so that there's less weight on the hands but also the shoulder girdle. And then stretch, extend both legs. Your heels might not touch the ground. Just really stretch out and then bend your knees and start to walk your feet to your hands. Come to a forward bend and then very gently press your feet into the ground, bend your knees, and we're going to roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Once you're up to standing, lift and roll your shoulders and walk to the top of your mat to come to salute to the sun, which, or a variation of that, which is on the heart. So inhale, exhale, hands together at the heart center. Press your feet into the ground, lengthening your body. Breathing in, circle your hands up so that your palms touch, stretching up. And breathing out, bring your palms through the center of your body as you bend your knees and lower your hands to either side of your feet. Step or stretch back your right foot. Your right leg stays high. Step and stretch back your left foot so that you're temporarily in plank, straight line, heels up. And then bend both knees to the ground and come to lie fully on your front. And stretch your hands out in front of you. Full body stretch. Slide your hands back to either side of your chest, your elbows are in. Press on your hands to come back to kneeling. Tuck your toes, and we're going to come into a downward dog. Feel here that you can adjust your feet to being hip width apart, and just gently walk the dog in your own way. Bend both knees back down to the ground and move your hands to the left, and that gives space for your right foot to come up. Your hands then move either side of your right foot and just take a moment to stretch into your right hip. Perhaps going beyond the knee being at a 90-degree angle. But to come up, just bring your knee back so it forms a 90-degree angle. Press down with your right foot, tuck your left toes underneath you to lift your left knee and step your left foot to your right foot. Hands onto your shins, flat back. And then bend your knees, press your feet into the ground and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Hands up, stretch your fingers up to the sky. And breathing out, lower your hands back down alongside you. Inhale, exhale, hands together at the heart center. Circle your hands up so that palms touch above you. And bringing your palms down through the centre as you bend your elbows and bend your knees, hands go either side of your feet. Step your left foot back, tucking your left toes under, your left leg is high, and then join that with your right leg as plank. Body in a straight line, heels up, and then come to kneeling. Unless you want to be challenged with Chaturanga, but come to kneeling and then come to lying on the floor and stretch your hands out in front of you. Slide your hands back to either side of your chest. Your elbows come in tight to you as you press down onto the floor with your hands, come back to kneeling. Bring your bottom back towards your heels as you tuck your toes and just carry on into a downward dog. Adjust your feet. Walk the dog. Stretch back with both legs. And then bend both knees to the ground. And your hands go to the right, giving space for your left foot to come up. Hands either side of your left foot. Stretch into the left hip by letting your left knee extend over 90 degrees. But to come up, bring your left knee back to a 90-degree angle. Tuck your right toes underneath, lift your right knee, and step your right foot to your left foot. Hands on the shins as you lengthen along your spine. And then soften your knees, press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing, stretching your hands up, your fingers, and breathing out, lower your hands. We'll do one more round, but slightly faster. Inhale, exhale, hands together at the heart center. Inhale, hands up, stretch up. Breathing out, bend your hands, your elbows, bend your knees. Hands either side of your feet. Step back with your right foot, keep it high. Right heel up. Left foot joins it in plank, straight line. Bend your knees, touching the ground, or come to Chaturanga, coming straight down to lying on your front. Hands out in front of you. Head down, stretch out. Slide your hands back, hands either side of your chest, elbows in. Press your hands back to kneeling, and then come straight on to downward dog. Adjust your dog. And then very gently bend your knees back down to the ground. Hands to the left, right foot steps up. And this time, just kneel up into a semi-warrior one, stretching your hands up. Staying here, you can look up to your hands if your neck will support this, otherwise staying looking straight ahead. And then hands back down to the floor. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee, step your left foot to your right foot. Hands on the shins, lengthen your back, flat back. Soften your knees, press down as you roll up vertebra by vertebra, and stretch your fingers up. Lower your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders. Clasp your hands behind your back to open your shoulders. Looking ahead or up if that works for you. Bring your head back to center. Separate your hands and slide them down the backs of your legs to the earth. Step back your left foot, right foot in plank. Straight line, heels up to the ceiling. And then either bend your knees to come to the earth or come straight down Chaturanga in a straight line to the earth. Stretch your hands out in front of you. Slide your hands back to either side of your chest, elbows in. Press your hands down to come back to kneeling. Tuck your toes, come to a downward dog. Walk the dog. Bend both knees back down to the earth. Hands go to the right, left foot comes up, hands either side of the left foot. And then pressing your left foot down, come to a warrior one or half warrior one, hands up, looking either ahead or looking up, depending on your neck, stretching your hands. Breathing out, lower your hands to either side of your front left foot, tucking your right toes underneath. Tummy in, lift your right knee and step your right foot to your left. Hands on the shins, lengthen your back. Breathing out, soften your knees. Press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra, stretching your hands up. And then just circle at the wrists as you lower your hands. And once the hands are down, just reverse the circle in the other direction. If you've been working, stretch your fingers out and just curl them in and stretch them out and curl them in. And you can take your hand on your thumb, doesn't matter which hand, just pulling your fingers one at a time. And shake the hand out. Brilliant if you've been doing a lot of work. And then pulling, very good for arthritis as well, pulling the other hand and just shaking. And then lifting and rolling the shoulders. And just come to swaying from side to side before we come to the next part, which is moving up to, we've moved the heart and we're moving now to the throat. And just very gently come to slow your swaying down. Come to standstill. And then hands to the heart as you come down to the floor, lying on your back, your knees are bent. And we're coming to knees bent, feet on the floor. Just if you could touch the backs of your heels with your fingers, that gives you an idea of alignment. And now just start a gentle pelvic tilt. You don't have to keep your fingers there, it's just a gentle guide. Flattening your back as you go to lift your bottom, you don't really. And then as you roll in the opposite direction, you're getting a little gap under your lower back. So it's giving mobility to the spine, particularly around the L4, L5, so the lumbar area of the spine that does all the hard work. But your back is supported by the ground. So pressing your feet down, now actually do lift your bottom. Just check your knees are tracking in front of you, and then raise your arms up behind you. Chin tucks into the chest. It's a soft rolling bridge. Your Jalandhara throat bandha is engaged. And then breathing out, start to lower your bottom to the ground. And as you get halfway there, your hands will naturally lift up and lower back down alongside you. Just take a breath to recover in and out. And you might like to just adjust your shoulders, maybe bringing them in a little bit closer, almost tucking them underneath. Press your feet down, lift your bottom, raise your arms up above you. Just check that your knees are tracking towards almost like your second toe, big toe, second toe, that they're not being splayed out. Stretch your arms behind you and then breathing out, lower your bottom back down alongside you, down to the ground, and your arms will follow naturally. Bring them back down to the earth. And just recover. And then pressing your feet into the ground, lift your bottom. As we did before, stretching up behind you. And this time as you lower your bottom to the ground and you lower your hands, hug your knees into your chest. Soles of the feet to the ceiling in a V. Hands, palms together through that V. Stay here or optionally lift your head up. And if your head feels stressed or stretched, hold your head under your head and neck one hand, and then release your head back down to the ground. Bend your knees back into your chest, and just very gently rock from side to side. And then slide your hands down to your ankles and take hold of the undersole of your foot, each foot into happy baby. So knees are aiming towards the ground, and just rock very gently from side to side. Subnote on happy baby, it's a millimetre we're talking about, but you can actually flatten your lower back a millimetre towards the ground, towards your coccyx, which engages your core, but it's not mandatory, it's an option. And then gently release your hands and just hold behind the backs of your legs, your knees are bent, and just imitate that side to side movement, swaying your legs in the air like seaweed moving. And then very gently bend your knees into your chest and place your feet onto the ground. We could come onto our fronts in Sphinx pose, but the purpose of Sphinx pose is a back bend, so it's lifting at the chest. So instead of doing that, we're going to do it by lying on our backs. So bring your elbows in towards you, almost tuck your shoulders underneath, and almost lift your chest off the ground. Your knees are bent, your feet are on the ground, so you're lifting your chest and you're extending from your tummy up to your chest. It's almost a stretch. It's imitating that back bend movement. And then just release and gently release your bottom and your back down onto the ground. Just have your feet slightly wider than hip width apart, and once more sway your knees from side to side. And then very gently hug one knee and then the other into the chest, and carry on with that swaying from side to side. And then gently coming, when you're ready, back to the centre, and either rolling to the right or rocking up in your own time into a very gentle seated position, coming into a cross-legged position. And bring your hands to your heart. Breathing in, open your hands out to the side. Breathing in, bring the hands back, not necessarily to prayer, but just one on top of the other as you lower your chin to your chest. Breathing in, lifting your head up, opening your arms to the side. Breathing out, lower your chin to your chest as you bring your hands back to your heart center. And breathing in, opening your hands out, breathing out, bring your hands back to the heart as you lower your chest. Just bring your hands to the knees. You can have your hands down. You might want to adopt a Jnana Mudra, which is thumb to second to index finger, or your hands can be upwards on your palm. Same as a Jnana Mudra, it's just a different version. Focus on the base of the spine, or even below that. And as you breathe in, mentally say so. And then as you breathe out, mentally say hum. Spelled H-A-M, hum. Mentally breathe in so at the base, and mentally breathe out, hum. And then in your mind's eye, move up a little bit further, just above the coccyx, at the back of your base of your spine, but just to the inside. And mentally breathe in so. Mentally breathe out, hum. So as you breathe in, and hum as you breathe out. Bring your mind behind your navel, just in front of the base of the spine, or the spine at the navel level. Breathe in, so as you breathe in, and mentally say hum as you breathe out. So as you breathe in, and hum as you breathe out. Bring your mind to the back of the heart center, in front of the spine. And the same again, breathing in, so, and hum. Breathing in the heart, so, and breathing out, hum. Bring your mind to the throat, back of the throat, and again, breathing in, so, and breathing out, hum. Breathing in, so, and breathing in, out, hum. And then bring your mind to the third eye, and imagine breathing in through the third eye, so, breathing out, hum. Breathing in, so, and when you breathe out, mentally say hum. And just bring a light to attention at the crown of the head, and the same thing, breathing in, so, and breathing out, hum. Breathing in, so, and breathing out, hum. Choose a colour, any colour, that you resonate with today, and wrap yourself like cotton wool or candy floss in your preferred colour, top, bottom, back, front. In that bubble of colour and protection, have a thought for the day, or wish for the day for yourself or somebody close to you, and mentally think that thought a couple of times to set your intention for the day. And then let that thought drift away. You've set your sankalpa. And once more, just bring your chin to your chest, taking a bow for yourself, your hands to your heart. And thank you very much.